Ladies and gentlemen, it is February 26, 2022, here with another Black History Month video dedicated to the African American veterans that paved the way so veterans like myself can serve in today's military. So far I've highlighted multiple units, tank battalions, I've highlighted individual people, I've highlighted Tuskegee Airmen, but I am not going to forget about our black women. Because who run the world? Girls. So let's talk about our black women. And today we're going to be talking about 688, what is it called here? Central Postal Directory out of the United States Army that served during World War II. Now, first of all, I've been talking about Black history. I want to take you guys on a little detour because I'm very proud big brother. Now, I talked about the African American men who paved the way for African American veterans like me to serve in a military that is not segregated. And while I was in the Army, coming home on R&R, this wonderful young lady right here used to wear my uniform when I came home. You see my 361 crest on the beret. She got my combat patch on, the 2ID combat patch, and then 2ID got reflagged to 4-4 at Fort Carson, Colorado. This is my little sister, Bria. And she watched me grow up in the Army, become a man in the Army, and so proud of her now because she has a uniform of her own. And she's a combat engineer in the Army, and she has her own freaking Bradley. Take a look at that, man. She got her own Bradley that she drives. I mean, that's badass. So, excuse me, let's talk about these African American women, 6,888th Postal Directory, and what they did for black veterans, for black history, for black women. Let's get into it. Now, and during World War II, there was a backlog of mail, long backlog of mail. And if you're a veteran yourself, or even if you're a civilian, you know how long you hate waiting on a package. In 2022, we're spoiled. We have Amazon, press a button, express shipping, things of that nature. Boom, it's right there. However, during World War II, there was a 6-month backlog on mail in a warehouse in England. And the United States Army thought, well, what are we going to do to get this mail to these soldiers? Because if you're a veteran and you've been in war, man, you know what them letters can do to your morale. You know how good it feels to get a letter from your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, get that package from your mom. Me, when I was in Iraq, this very same little sister sending me cookies, writing me letters, coloring, showing what she did in school. It boosts your morale, especially when you're getting your ass kicked in war like my unit did, because we deployed during the most dangerous time of the war. So, the United States Army, they created this all-black female group of women dedicated just to delivering mail to these soldiers who are fighting overseas, because with the 6-month backlog of mail, their motto was no mail, no morale. And they went over there and they said, we need to get this mail to these soldiers. And once again, Eleanor Roosevelt advocated to have another group of African Americans go overseas and show what they can do. And these African American women said, okay, we're going to do it. No doubt, we can do this. All right, so my notes here. So these women averaged 65,000 pieces of mail per shift, and they cleared that 6-month backlog in only 3 months. And as a soldier who has been waiting on mail, let me tell you, when you think that your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever has broken up with you, or you think you're gonna receive a Dear John letter, and for those of you who don't know what a Dear John letter is, it's one of those letters where somebody writes to you, I can't do this, I want to break up, bye. Man, I can only imagine what those soldiers on the battlefield felt when they finally got a letter after fighting a war, after seeing one of their friends fight and die just to, come back home to the barracks and get that letter and boost that morale and know that you have, excuse me, people at home waiting on you, knowing that you got something to fight for. And the army was still segregated, but here's the wonderful thing about it. These women delivered mail to all the soldiers. And that's the most important part I want to get through on this series here. Even though these units were segregated that I talk about in this series, all the work that these African Americans did once they were able to fight, they did for everybody. They didn't do it for just black people. These females didn't just deliver mail to black people. They delivered mail to everybody. And all we wanted to do was be given a chance to show what we can do. Not what we can do for just black people, but what we can do for everybody. Just like myself, I didn't go overseas and take an oath just to defend black people. I defend the red, white, and blue and everything up under it. Every color, race, nationality, creed, whatever, I defend everybody. Just like these women. They delivered mail to everybody. They did their job over there. They got deployed to multiple areas in the battlefield, multiple theaters in World War II or in Europe after they cleared that 6-month backlog of mail. The military said, okay, well, we're going to send them here, clear this backlog of mail. We're going to send them here, clear this backlog of mail. An interesting note that fact that I found when I was doing my research, these women weren't allowed weapons. So they learned jujitsu because they still were women, and unfortunately, you have these assholes in the world who want to take advantage of women or abuse women because dating back to the slavery days, some people saw black people as property, but they see these black women and they had to find a way to defend themselves, and that's what they did by learning jujitsu, different versions of martial arts. So, in 1946, the unit was disbanded because the job was done, and obviously we won World War II, go America. However, there was no medals, no honors, no parades for these women when they came back because, once again, just like all these men and women who fought during this time, they left a segregated military to come back to a segregated America. Now think about that for a minute. These black women who delivered mail, boosted morale for all soldiers of all colors, come back home to a segregated world. Heroes, come back heroes, but they came back to the harsh realities of America and what America was really rooted in at that time, and that was racism. Fighting this ironic war where Hitler wanted to spread what he thought was the master race, people who look like him. They helped Americans fight what the Germans thought were the master race just to come home and be segregated. How ironic is that, man? How ironic is that? Anyway, let's talk about these black women some more. So, in 1994, Dr. Brenda Moore, who served with the 688, she published a study for the United States Army Research Institute for Behavioral Science and Social Sciences called African American Women Who Served Overseas During World War II toward a Life Course Analysis. Some of these women had to toot their own horns. They had to write their own books, just like Dr. Brenda did. She wrote a book as well. I believe I read in the note she studied at the University of Buffalo. She went on to get her PhD, teach social sciences in 1994. However, there were still not any medals awarded to the unit, nothing like that. These women they were being praised, and they received some individual awards from the public, but nothing officially from the military. And we're going to talk about a couple of leaders in this unit here. Charity Adams Early, she was the commander of the Battalion 6888. She has a school named after her in Dayton, Ohio, called the Charity Adams Early Academy. Now I'm going to get into what I found was the most interesting fact about this unit. Now, can you imagine doing a lot of work, just busting your butt every single day for your job, and you don't get recognized when you retire, when you leave, they don't even give you a watch. You don't even get a pension. Let's just say after 20 years, they just say, okay, you can leave. And you don't get any type of recognition at all. That's what a lot of these black women went through. Even though they did everything that they could within the barriers that they were given, they delivered mail. They boosted morale. They helped our soldiers, black, white, Latino, Asian, everybody who could join at the time. They helped boost their morale by delivering their mail on the battlefield, but they received no recognition. Until, listen to this date, April 30th, 2021. That's less than a year ago. These women served 1944, 1946. Let me tell you what happened on April 30th. Washington, D.C. The United States Senate unanimously passed the U.S. Senator Jerry Moran, a senator out of Kansas, legislation to award the Congressional Gold Medal to the members of the Women's Army Corps who were assigned to the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion during World War II. The unit served at home and in Europe, where they sorted and routed mail for millions of American service members and civilians. So thankfully, we have some great people who know American history, because the most important thing, this is black history, but black history is also American history. And Senator Jerry Moran out of Kansas, I didn't know about him. You know, we are so divided, Democrat, Republican, But doing this research, I said, wow, it took a senator out of Kansas 2021 to recognize these black women and the contributions they made to America back in 1944 during World War II. I have one more video to go for this series, and it's going to be a speech, and I'm working on it now. But doing this whole thing, man, doing this research and learning what these African American men and women did for veterans like me, oh my God, it's been enlightening. It's great to know the lineage that I come from as a Cavalry Scout, Go Cav, 19 Delta. My little sister to be a combat engineer, coming from the lineage of these black women who at the time were only able to deliver mail in the military. Now my sister is a combat engineer driving her own Bradley. It's breathtaking, man. It's nothing like that. And then to be an American hero, for me to get my own Purple Heart, write this book, Cavalry, available on Amazon. But in that book, you can read the relationship I have with the girl I was with at that time, and relying on those letters, man, that boost your morale, to know that you got people back home who love you when your friends are dying at war. Man, these black women did that for these soldiers way back in 1944 during World War II. When the war, I may add, was way harder than the war we fighting now. All the soldiers, black and white, they paid, we have to pay homage to them because they fought in trenches. Okay, now we fight a different type of war now. War has evolved, but for these black women to do what they do, man, and for this little girl to see me in my uniform evolve into this young lady right here, man, it just warms my heart, man, to know that we a military family now, doing things that not too many people sign up to do. Love it, love it, love it, love it. We out. Who run the world? Girls.